So today we're continuing our series, our Chakra 2.0 series, and today we're talking about the third chakra. And this whole series, if you're new to it, is all about looking at the chakras in a different light. That historically, for example, we might look at the third chakra. So the third chakra is just above the navel. It's often called the solar plexus chakra. It's called Manipura, which means the city of jewels. And very often, for millennia, and for really good reason, we've interpreted every single thing that went on in our body in its negative. We notice it because of its dysfunction. It's like we're not trained to actually realize how amazing our body is right now, because we're just so focused on the illness or the pain or the difficulty or the challenges. So we often even look at the chakras that way. The third chakra, we might say things like it's the seat of power, it's the seat of self-confidence, it's the seat of self, it's how I know who I am. And then almost instantly, the conversation goes to, and when it's messed up, I don't know who I am, and I'm lost, and I spend my whole life trying to figure out who I am, and I have digestive issues, and we have all of these negative connotations to it. And I think it's time to focus on them from the inside out. And when you think of that, when you think of these light portals, these spinning wheels of divine energy that make us up, right? That actually form us energetically. And of course, to really understand that, when Einstein said that energy equals E equals mc squared, that energy equals matter times the speed of light, which is c, squared. What that means is that the energy and matter of the world are interchangeable. It isn't that I have a physical body and I happen to also have these spinning vortexes inside, or vortices inside of me. They're not like spinning inside this shell. The energy body, the chakras, the nadis, the Chinese meridians, all these kind of things, they are the physical body. We're just looking at it through a different lens. So when you actually think about these chakras on an energetic level, we are all perfect. We are absolutely in divine alignment and perfect. And a while ago, I came across a woman's work, Cindy Dale, and she talked about there being two different worlds, that there was this world of light and there was this shadow world. And that these two worlds were running parallel in our life all the time. And that's what really inspired a lot of what we're talking about. Because these chakras that are us live in that world of light. They live in the world of clarity. They live in the world of perfection. But then there's this weird shadow world that we live in that's really cruel. And shallow and mean and empty and very strange. So all of a sudden you have this perfect being inside. And we live in this world that seems to be co-opted by some really nasty something, whatever you want to call it. We can hypothesize as to what we want to call that. But so what we do is we create an interface. We create an interface between the perfection and this curious world out there. It's kind of like it's raining, so I have to put on a raincoat. I have to use an umbrella. The fact that it's raining is okay, whatever. But we have to put on a raincoat. And this is the interface. And what's really interesting about this is historically, because we've focused so deeply on the dysfunction that's going on within us, in our lives, in our relationships, we've internalized it. We think the raincoat is part of us. We think there's something wrong with us because we always need this raincoat, right? And it's like, no, It's raining. You have to have a raincoat. That's it. Not you. Inside the raincoat, you're perfect. You're fantastic. Every one of us here. Every single one of us. And there's this whole idea that we're broken, or that our chakras are somehow out of alignment, or they're blocked, or there's something wrong with us on the inside. There's nothing wrong with us on the inside. Have we had to adopt certain things over time? 100%. And that's what we're looking at, right? So when we think of why do we have a third chakra? What is the actual function, imperfection of the third chakra? Well, the third chakra is kind of like who we are. Like for some reason, and there's a million theories as to why souls come to Earth or to any planet. And one theory is that we have a mission, that we have an intention, that there's some reason we've come here. Well, that reason is stored in our third chakra. Whatever that is, whatever that purpose is in our third chakra. And so what else is stored there? Well, in order to have the experience I need to have here on the earth, I'm going to have a certain set of ideas. I'm going to have a certain set of belief structures. I'm going to have a certain set of thoughts that I can structure my life based on. If I come here and my entire purpose is to work with animals, then I'm going to come fully loaded with a third chakra full of ideas, structures, beliefs, and hopes and dreams and everything. And it's all going to be around animals. Or it's going to be around marine biology. Or it's going to be around climbing mountains. Or it's going to be about food. Or it's going to be about whatever. But I'm going to have all these interesting ideas like a structure to support my mission. Whatever that is. For whatever, and again, it doesn't really matter why we have a sense of self, or why we have this ego, or why we have this strong sense of who we are. But along with that strong sense of who we are, obviously comes a brilliant system to execute the plan. This is this sense of power, right? This is the engine of our whole existence. What am I here for? What do I need to know? Excellent, right? So then along comes this sense of fire, right? This is the Agni, the fire of our whole life, our digestion, our anger, our passion, everything, right? Why do we have fire there? Well, one, it's passion. It's excitement. Like, again, it's not all destructive. It's not all about anger, right? We often think it's the fire, the anger inside. It's the passion. It's the excitement about anything. It's the thing that makes Michelangelo, paint the Sistine Chapel. It's what makes us do what we want to do. It's what makes us get out of bed in the morning and go, you know what? I want to do this. This is exciting. There's like, whoo, this is going to be awesome. That's the third chakra. And on the flip side, so then what happens if something gets in the way of what we need to do? Because we're here on a mission. And I don't mean like some save the world mission. I mean, I'm here to paint. I'm here to make love. I'm here to swim in the ocean. I'm here to play with puppies. I don't know what I'm here for, but that's what I'm here for. So what happens if someone gets in the way of that? We get angry in equal part to the passion we feel about the thing that that's getting in the way of. There's nothing wrong with that. It's passion. It's awesome. And what's also amazing about this fire is it burns away all the things that we don't need. So you come into our world. It's funny, when I began teaching Kundalini Yoga, we were still heading up towards 2012. And Yogi Bhajan used to talk about how we were studying, we had to practice Kundalini Yoga, and we had to do these daily chants all about leading up to the Aquarian age. And he talked a lot about the fact that in the coming time, there will be so much information. We will be inundated with data. It won't even be truth. It'll just be data, just inundated with it. And he said, you must, one, have a strong nervous system to handle it, which is why we do the yoga. And two, you have to have a strong inner fire to weed out all the nonsense. Because if you have a vision, if you have a path, and you're just getting stuff thrown on the fire all the time, what's going to happen to the fire? Like, it's going to go out. Or what if somewhere along the line you adopted the idea that you're supposed to listen to every single thing, and you're supposed to digest every single thing that comes into your world, from other people, from the news, from movies, from friends, from whoever? What's going to happen to your fire? What's going to happen to that beautiful system that you came in with? That beautiful set of truths and philosophies that guide you in your satya, in your truth path. Right? So what we need is a strong fire that's connected to our satya, to our truth, so that it automatically just burns away all that isn't needed, all that takes us from our path, so that we're always clear. We always have a strong and clear fire burning. Right? If we don't have a strong fire, it's just like, oh, right? So the fire of the third chakra is fascinating, because not only does it propel us, but it keeps us clear on our path. And so it's interesting how often we've been told that there's something wrong with anger, and there's something wrong with being too excited about something. And well, you certainly have your own ideas, don't you? You know? And actually last night in class, somebody, I don't know if she's here today, but we were talking about the idea of ADD and being neurodivergent. And she changed the ADD to another desired path, or an alternate desired path or something. You know, that the idea of having a strong third chakra with a clear set of beliefs and philosophies that is very unique to you and your soul could easily be considered neurodivergent. And don't get me wrong, I understand that there are excellent applications of these and it's valuable. But it's just interesting how we've kind of demonized having unique perspective, having actually a well-formed third chakra. So again, for some reason, in this time in the world, it's very valuable to look at the nature of the shadow world. Like, it's almost like up until this point, we've just integrated it like, oh, well, that's just normal. That's just Maya. It's just the world of illusion. That's what the earth is. That's what we are. And we're just part of that shadow. And we also have issues, right? Like, that's sort of what we've been taught, that the world we see out there is a mirror of our inner world, right? And this is where it gets really messy, right? Because it's like, what if that teaching alone isn't true? What if the shadow world out there is actually out there? You know, does how it trigger us help us learn something? Perhaps. But what if it's not? What if we really are this perfection inside? And then we can look at this interface. So in the third chakra, what is in this interface? Well, the third chakra is about who I am and the thoughts, beliefs, philosophies that I accumulate and understand to be true for me to actually live my path. So what happens? We're born into this world. We're born into this shadow world. And perhaps we're raised in a religion that says, you are all sinful. You all have an evil side, and you must keep it down all the time. Oh, I'm sinful. Oh, and you know all those sexual desires you have? Definite proof that you're sinful. Definite proof there's something wrong with you, right? And so all of this gets stored in the interface. It's not us. It's not my third chakra. My third chakra is divine. It's divine energy. That's it. We are divine beings here. But in the interface, I now have some new ideas. Ah, I am sinful. There's something wrong with me. I'm broken from the get-go. I'm broken by the simple idea, the very fact I was born. Oh, that's an idea. It's just an idea stored in the interface. Not true. Deep down, we know it's not true, but it's in the interface. And as long as I have to interact with the shadow world, this is what I'm going to believe. Not really. In time, we figure out it's nonsense. But then let's say we're raised by people who treat us badly. Maybe they're cruel to us. Maybe they tell us we're stupid, or they neglect us and make us feel unloved. Now we have new ideas being formed in the interface. Well, I'm unlovable, and I'm stupid, and I'm not worthy of love or connection. No one likes me. It's all just stored in, these are just ideas. They're not truths, they're just ideas. But because we don't have any other data, we believe them to be true. They're not true. Of course we're lovable. Of course we're not stupid. Of course we're not sinful. Of course we're pure love. But these ideas, all thoughts, ideas stored in the interface. There's other things that get stored there too. We have ancestral beliefs also. If you come from a long line of people who believed something about the genders, that women were here and men were here, or vice versa, these ideas, thoughts, perceptions will also come through the third chakra, right? They're thoughts and ideas. If you come from a long line of family who were racist, those thoughts and ideas may come through. If you come from a long line of people who believe that this is what success looks like, this is what the proper religion is, this is what the righteous way to live is, all of these also may come through in this interface because we have to live in that family, right? We have to live in that community. And we are so weirdly interwoven into the community, into the family, into our position in the community. You know what I mean? Like who we were born to. It's like there's this whole gestalt, this whole picture that we just get inserted into. And now we believe that about ourselves. Again, all just in the interface. One of the other weird things about the third chakra, again, because it's about ideas. The second chakra is about emotions and flow. First chakra is about abundance and all that kind of thing. But this is about ideas, which is weird, right? Normally we think of ideas up here. But in all of the ancient cultures, they consider the belly to be the brain, right, of the body. So it's very interesting when you even think about how, well, I'm going to have to go digest that. I'm going to go chew on that for a while. You know, I just have my gut saying this. Like, it's interesting how unconsciously we know that this is where we're thinking. We're thinking in our belly. That's where we're thinking. We're not thinking up here. This is the higher realms. This is where we're listening. This is where we're connecting with our divine self. Down here, this is where we have all the thoughts that we need to interact in the physical world, right? When you even think of, for me, for example, for years, I had brutal migraines. Like when I lived on the farm, brutal like 3-day migraines. And you know, to the point where your kids know that once you see mom lying in a dark room, she's done. You know, and even the kids don't bug you because you're actually dead. You know, that was me with my migraines. But they were always digestive migraines. It was always in my gut. The only thing that ever alleviated them was, I don't know, when I finally gave up the ghost and threw up for, half a day. Sorry about that. But they were digestive migraines. I could almost feel them rising because I'm chewing on something. Something's wrong. Something's bothering me. And I'm chewing and chewing. And then, of course, what happens? I might eat something, or I might eat more chocolate or do whatever. I might just drink too much coffee or something, and the chewing gets higher and higher and higher and higher, and all of a sudden, my brain explodes, right? My brain explodes, and I'm out. I'm done. I've been taken out of the game, right? So the third chakra is very, very interesting. And one of the things about that, especially for me in this weird digestive migraine game, is the third chakra also absorbs the thoughts of the people around us. Because again, it's about thoughts. So all of a sudden, there's a couple different ways we can do this. Well, there's probably more than two. One, we can actually internalize the thoughts of others, right? Well, this is what they want me to want. This is what they want me to do. This is what they expect of me. So we're now taking their ideas and placing them in the interface of saying, oh, I'm supposed to love them. I'm supposed to want to go to university. I'm supposed to want to go to grandma's house. I'm supposed to whatever, And so we've actually internalized the thoughts of other people, which obviously have nothing to do with our soul's journey. Nothing. That's their soul's journey. Those are the thoughts that are in their third chakra, or they're not. And they're actually their parents or their grandparents or their society or whatever. And we've now internalized them because we think we're supposed to. We think that's how we get along in the shadow world. And of course, we've been taught that in the shadow world, that it's good to understand each other, and you don't want to disappoint anybody, and you don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, and what will they think, and what will those people think? Like, we've actually been taught to internalize other people's thoughts into our third chakra, into that interface, right? And another weird way we internalize is through empathy, almost like mirror neurons, right? That if someone else feels crappy about who they are, we easily may internalize that. Oh yeah, you know what? We really aren't all that great. We might actually internalize that ourselves. Or let's say you meet someone and they're just all about the success, and they've got the big job and they've got the big car and they're doing all the big, vacations and everything's like that. And that person's belief system is success equals a high-paying job. Success equals prestige. Success equals being famous. Success equals whatever. And there's something in you that's resonating with that, right? Like literally like mirror neurons. Like you're kind of like, yeah, that's right. And you just sort of bring that into your field. And you've now inserted their ideas into your interface because it feels good. Maybe they're really charismatic. Maybe they seem really happy. Maybe you're like, yeah, maybe they're right. So it's really interesting to look at the third chakra. And this is where like writing exercises are so valuable. Why do we write down our thoughts? Right? Why do we journal? Half the time we're actually just looking at the chakra, at the third chakra interface. We're like, what are these thoughts rolling through my mind? It's not here. It's all in the third chakra. What are these ideas? What are these belief systems that are making me stuck in life? Right? So for example, and like we're looking at the chakras very separately, right? Just for the sake of fun and, exploration. But you can now imagine that if you have confused ideas in your third chakra, right? Not really sure who I am or what I'm supposed to be doing anymore, or what I even think. What do I even think? I don't even know what my opinion is on this anymore, right? So my third chakra is so glutted with all of these various thought ideas and philosophies and everything. All of a sudden, what does that do in my beautiful flow of the second chakra, where I'm supposed to just be flowing in life with emotional ease and joy and everything? Well, of course, it affects that, right? And it affects the first chakra. So the interface is all connected, right? It's all connected. But It's really, really interesting to look at this curious interface of thoughts. So then we back up again. And so we understand the shadow world that wants their thoughts in us, right? I mean, it's called programming, it's called whatever you want to call it, subliminal messaging. And remember back in the 80s, they started talking about that, how there was subliminal messaging on TV and stuff. And I don't even know if it's all true, but it kind of does make you wonder, right? How do we get these thoughts programmed into people? How do we get these philosophies programmed into people? All the marketing out there, how do we get these thoughts? Here's what's important. You must be, you must have the skin of an 18-year-old, and you must have a certain kind of hair and a certain kind of muscles and a certain height and all these things, right? That's the whole point. That's what they did when I was in university, and I discovered that, and they said with pride that 70% of all psychological experiments were being done for marketing. They're basically saying, how do we phrase things? How do we set people up so that what my message is will be inserted into their third chakra interface, and people will believe that it is actually something that they think is real and important. That was actually one of the first things that made me realize that I had my ladder against the wrong wall. That I needed to move the ladder I was climbing. But so then how do we do it? How do we clear the interface? To really understand too that some of them may still be necessary, but the awareness of the interface is so important. So for example, let's say you're hanging out with family, right? And your family is full of ideas and philosophies that that just simply aren't your path. They don't have to be wrong and you be right, but they're not for you. Those are not philosophies or ideas that bring you forward on your path. How valuable is it to simply be able to look at your interface and know that growing up in this family, these are the ideas and philosophies that they believe in. I don't, but they do. This is valuable. It's almost like an interesting filter for when they talk, because we know that that's how they would think. My daughter actually taught me that, because she would talk about that and she'd say, I would say, can you believe this person said that? And she said, well, of course I can. Look at what they believe. And I'm like, I know, but, and she's like, I know, but think about how they see it. Of course, that's how they did it. It only makes sense. And that's the bliss of just simply being able to see the interface and go, oh, I adopted that for a while because I thought I had to. And now that I've seen it, I understand that in you as well. I understand how I internalized it. I understand how you've internalized it. I don't need to fix you. That's your journey. But at least now I understand what you're doing. I understand your actions because I can see the interface that also got piled up on you, right? So the simple awareness of the interface is so valuable. So how do we clean house? How do we get back to just feeling that satya, that truth, and really, I don't know, I always see this structure. I see this idea, philosophy structure like this. How do we get back to it just being us? Fire, right? And not extra fire. Like, we don't have to bring fire from the outside. Just the very true fire within us right now. Our chakras are perfect. The fire of the third chakra is there. We just have to let ourselves, again, we've got stuff in that interface that say, there's something wrong with being angry. I can't tell you how many years of my life I spent being so proud of the fact that I never got angry. Like, I thought this was like an enlightened state or something, or I just wanted everyone to like me. It was probably all caught up in a lack of self-confidence, third chakra, a desire for everyone to like me. And there was an altruistic kind of, oh, look at how much like the Buddha I am, or something like that. It's like, I never get angry. I'm just so calm all the time. And it's like, no, of course I get angry. Of course I get frustrated. Of course I get disappointed. Because I want to do something, or I wish something had happened, or I don't like the way that person's acting towards me. That's okay. I'm allowed to get angry. And that is the fire. And not just the anger, right? You have the anger to clear out the weeds, clear out the brush, clear out what doesn't belong. But then we also have the passion to walk our path, right? The third chakra is also, this is what I'm here to do. This is what I love. This is what I'm passionate about. So there's two parts of it, right? You use the passion to do what you love, but first you might have to get angry and just blow all the stuff out. And I don't mean that like get angry and, clear the decks. And we don't have to be violent about things, emotionally, relationships, anything. But to just allow ourselves to be angry, allow the fire, allow the natural, it's funny. It's like there's so much subliminal training that happens to us. Like even as a child, if you got upset, what the two primary things that would happen? One, you might get spanked. Two, you get sent to your room. So we learn very soon that anger, disappointment, frustration only leads to being alone. Don't do it. Don't get angry. Swallow it. Be a big boy. Do whatever you've got to do. And that's deep. The deep, deep thing. And of course, too, as a child, you didn't have any power to do anything anyway. And so that's a really interesting part of that interface that we developed as a young child. But at this age, for all of us here today, we have all the power in the world to be angry. We're allowed to clear that. Yeah, the fire of purification, right? We have this power now. And then once that starts to happen, we start to get some wiggle room, and we start to get to discover our passions again. And we start to remember what this third chakra is here to tell us. What is it I love to do? So then we back up. And one of the greatest things we can do to really connect with that third chakra and clear out that interface is to really sit quietly and ask ourselves, what are the big philosophies that I want to live according to? What do I really believe about the world? What is my satya? What is my truth, regardless of anyone else? Again, what am I saying? Regardless of everyone else's thoughts that are supposed to be muddying my waters, right? Regardless of everyone else's thoughts are gone. The ancestors' thoughts are gone. The society's thoughts are gone. What do I really believe? What's the reality I really live in? As soon as we know this, we just live from that place. And all of a sudden, the sorting becomes really easy. All of this excessive data in the world, whether it's on our phones, or if it's our friends, or if it's whatever, right? All the data is coming in, but because we're so clear, it's like, I don't need that, not that, not that, not that. You're not even coming in. Okay, you can come in, I'm going to digest you for a bit, I'm going to pull out what I need, and I'm going to poop the rest out, right? This is strong digestion. Physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. Some never get in my immune system, right? I have a strong immune system. It's like, nope. Right? And it's not painful or difficult or exhausting. That's what my immune system's for physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally. That's what it's for. That's by design, fueled by divine energy. Nothing wrong with that. It's all good, right? It's the same with everything else. What do I take in? What do I read? What do I listen to? What do I eat? What do I breathe? Everything comes in, strong structure. Yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. Ooh, that's a nice little vitamin. I'll keep that. Ooh, that's a good one. Everything else is gone, and it's effortless, right? So then suddenly you can take on anything. You can talk to any room. You can listen to anything. You can read any book, and you can go, oh, maybe you close the book instantly. Maybe you turn the TV off. Maybe you say to someone, yeah, this isn't a conversation I'm a part of. And it's just very clear. Yeah, but don't you need, it's like, no, you may need to know about this. You may need to talk about this. But this is not on my path. Oh, but you have to care. Well, if you understood my soul's desire and my my divine purpose on earth, maybe you'd have a say. I sound awfully bitchy about it, but there's something about having to almost not defend it, but stand in it. That's satyagraha, to stand in your truth. And this is the power, right? They talk about the third chakra being our power center. It's not power over, it's not arguing, it's not defending, it's not anything. It's just, this is me. This is my purpose. This is who I am. This is what I actually believe deep in my heart. And it doesn't matter how many people around you go, yeah, but, yeah, but, yeah, but, yeah, but, yeah, but. And you just look at them and you're like, that's your purpose. It has nothing to do with my purpose. And then suddenly there's no argument. You know, your perception of me doesn't alter my perception of me. You know, whether we like a tree or not doesn't change whether it's an oak tree. It's just an oak tree. You know? So this is that real sense of power, right? So that, because then what happens? That sense of power helps us do everything we want because we have confidence, we have conviction. And there's also something else about that, about confidence and conviction. Oftentimes they'll talk about how the chakras have a front side and a back side. And normally we're talking about the front side. But when you think of the back side of the chakras is where we receive from the universe. When we imagine the backside of the third chakra, we are receiving. It's like the conviction that we know, it's like that universe has your back. I know that I'm here with purpose, and I know that it's all good, and that no matter what it is that I'm meant to be doing, the universe has my back. And there's something about resting back in that, like literally, like kind of just resting back, almost like a waterfall flowing down, and you're just resting back in it, and the universe is saying, yes, it's all good. Keep going. You were designed with purpose. It's all perfect. And that also gives us incredible confidence to be able to sort things in the world, to be able to gather towards us that which we need for our journey. And it's perfect. Like, it's actually really, really simple. We just live. We believe what we believe. We love what we love. We respond in the way we respond. And we just live. And it has nothing to do with other people or, because again, none of this is, here's what I think and I'm going to force this on you. It's just about us. Right? It doesn't affect other people. You know, they're on their path. So I'm going to put my glasses on. Resting back is my new mantra, right? Resting back is so beautiful. It's like when you think of even resting back and feeling in the second chakra, knowing that flow is natural. It's our natural state. And just allowing that to move, to rest back in the first chakra and know that abundance is the natural thing. Resting back in the fourth chakra and receiving divine love, right? Resting back in the fifth chakra and receiving guidance. Like, there's so many beautiful things about just resting back. Oh, not explaining yourself to people. Because the funny thing is, the people who know you, you don't have to explain anything to anyway, right? Like, there's nothing to explain because they're like, yeah, I get that. And I always find myself that if I'm explaining, well, I realized back when I was sick, I realized if I was explaining myself to someone, I was actually lying. And I don't mean, if someone genuinely asks you, I'm really curious as to what sort of brought along this journey or why you came to this decision, then I'll explain it. If someone's genuinely asking, that they're like, maybe they're personally also considering a change. Maybe they're personally fighting the same challenge. And they're like, what's that all about? And you say, well, here. And they go, oh, wow, that's so interesting. They're not asking you to argue with you. They're genuinely intrigued with your thought process and how you maybe got over some of the fears that they have. That's brilliant. That's communication. That's sharing, right? It's when someone says, why would you do that? And you say, because I wanted to. Because that was my path. When I am portraying, living my being, my truth, it sometimes makes others nervous, even if I'm just quiet. What's really funny? I hear you. It's a curious thing because I remember a couple times. I remember one time, maybe 10 years ago, I was heading up or part of a committee, or I don't know, I had to speak to the town council a lot about building a skate park in our town. And there was just so much backlash and nonsense going on in politics and stuff. And I'm not really good at all that. So I would get up there and I would speak in front of council and just say my piece, just like I talk to you guys. And anyway, the one guy who was like the deputy mayor, right? He and I were meeting one day in a cafe, and he's just la 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 la. But he's just a politician, right? And he's just like talking. And I'm like literally like, I'm just staring at him because he hadn't really said anything in 20 minutes. He was just sort of circling something, and I'm waiting for him to actually get to the thing he's circling. And all of a sudden he just stopped and he goes, Katrina, what are you thinking? You're driving me crazy. It's like, hey, if you actually say something worth listening to, I'll listen. Like, but you can't just keep circling something. Like, let's get at it. We're full-grown adults here. And the other thing that's really interesting is when we live our truth, it might make people uncomfortable. Like in 2018, when I gave everything away to go and travel the world, that affected people in ways that I had no idea. And it wasn't something I did. It was 100% just a personal calling. I questioned it myself, whether I was going nuts. But it was like, no, release everything, leave with a backpack, let everything go. Well, of course, I got so much weird flack from that, right? Really, like not bad, just, well, some people were kind of like, how can you leave? And, really upset that I was leaving for an indeterminate amount of time, right? So I definitely got a lot of people that were like, you family and friends, you can't just leave like that. And then there were other people that were like, it almost created this weird catalyst in their thoughts that they would share with me later. Like, oh, when you did that, I just thought, oh my gosh, like I could never do that. Well, why couldn't I do that? Is there something wrong with me? And And other people were like, oh, I would love to do that. Why am I not doing that? But The effect it has on other people is irrelevant. I didn't do it with some weird effect. It was just a weird intention. I just did it. What happens to it after you've thrown the ball? That's 100% up to other people. You know, I couldn't do anything if I had to consider what other people would think all the time. I would never have started teaching Tantra. You know, I actually, when I first started teaching Tantra, this was quite a while ago in this town. This is a very small town. It's got like 8,000 people, conservative, retired, religious, you know. And I said, the only people I cared about were my kids. And I said, are you guys okay if I start teaching Tantra? Because people could think it's weird. And they were like, no, it's totally cool, Mom. Give her. And I was like, all right. And people made up all kinds of weird stuff that was going on in the train station. None of which was actually happening, unfortunately. But, you know, the interface is part of the illusion. Totally. And you know what? I wonder, maybe the interface was really important for our survival. Right? And this is one of the really important things, is that we didn't adopt all these thoughts and ideas for no reason. We did it because, like say, for example, even let's say you work at a company. And historically, the goal, success, was defined by you get the job and you stay in that job till the end, and then you retire, right? That's the definition of success, right? Oh, I've been in my world, I've been in this job for 35 years. But what if that company has a certain philosophy or a certain culture? And because the overriding goal of the shadow world is that you must stay here for 35 years, you would have to develop the interface is the place in between our divine self and the shadow world around us. And you would have to develop a new set of thoughts in the interface to simply even work there. And on some level, maybe some of the things you don't really believe, but some of them you do believe. You do believe is you. But I feel like today, 2022, all I can picture is it's time for this divinity to go, and all the interface just dissolves or busts open or whatever it does. But it's not necessary anymore. All we have to do is just grow from that inside space, grow from that inside perfection space, harness our passion, defend our truth, be who we are. Not defend, you guys know what I mean. But just walk our path, and everything will just simply resolve itself. You know, we don't have to focus and go after it and always be in the arena and always battling. We just have to be here and be happy and stand in our truth, stand in our power, stand in who we are. And the people who want to control us, they will just go away eventually, because they just they'll stop. They'll stop trying. They'll go, oh yeah, we can't tell her anything. Right? Sometimes it's difficult when your soulmate doesn't get your journey. Yeah. But again, like, who knows? Like, sometimes when someone else doesn't understand your journey, it drives you deeper into your journey. Like, it actually creates contrast in just the perfect way to make you realize, no, my path matters. My path's important. My journey matters. Like, it actually increases the fire inside of us that helps. So you just never know why people are in our lives. Sometimes they're in our lives because there's resonance and ease. And sometimes they drive us so crazy, we figure out who we really are. It's, yeah. And again, I really feel that a lot. Like I really feel when somebody bothers me, I really go, wow. Because then I get angry. Because now I love getting angry. And I get angry. And I go, wow, what am I so angry about? And inevitably, whatever I'm angry about is really important. And it really takes me back to who I am. And I love that. I like getting angry. Yeah, I totally love getting angry because it means something. It means that something needs to get cleaned up. Something's a muck. It's almost like you've had some like thorn in your side, but you've adapted to it. And then all of a sudden one day you realize there's a thorn in my side. Like it's the beginning of pulling that thorn out, right? And I think I also love getting angry because I spent so many years ignoring, my check engine light. I just ignored the anger. I ignored when people stepped over my boundaries because I wanted them to love me or I wanted them to all this stuff. And to be allowed to be angry, it's like, and again, when I say angry, I'm not mean to people. Nobody else knows I'm angry except for me. Right? And I go, wow, this is just pissing me right off. Okay, what am I defending? There's something inside that's very delicate and important that I'm defending. What is that? And it's great. I love it. I'm always a little more me after. So thank you so much for being here. And we'll see you soon.